Captain Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the UES Resilience, staring at the message that had just arrived. The words glowed on her screen like a death sentence. She read them again, hoping they would somehow change. By order of the Galactic Tribunal, all human vessels are commanded to report to Tribunal Station immediately. The Council of Seven has reached its verdict. Humanity has been found guilty of the great transgression. Final judgment will be delivered upon arrival. Elena's hands shook slightly as she set down her coffee cup. Around her, the bridge crew worked quietly, but she could feel their eyes on her. They had all seen the message. They all knew what it meant. "Captain?" Lieutenant Morrison spoke softly from his position at the communications station. "Should I send a reply?" Elena looked out at the stars through the main view screen. Somewhere out there, thousands of other human ships were receiving the same message. Every colony ship, every exploration vessel, every military fleet scattered across the galaxy was being called home to face judgment. "Send this message to all human ships in our sector," Elena said, her voice steady despite the fear growing in her chest. "We go together. No one travels alone." She turned to her crew. These people had served with her for 3 years. They had explored new worlds, made first contact with alien species, and saved countless lives during the Arcturus colony disaster. Now they were all criminals in the eyes of the galaxy. "I won't lie to you," Elena said. "This looks bad. The Council of Seven has never called an entire species to judgment before. But we've done nothing wrong. We've followed every galactic law. We've helped more species than we've harmed." Commander Sarah Blake, her first officer, stepped forward. "What do you think they're charging us with?" "The message mentioned the great transgression. But what does that even mean?" Elena shook her head. "I don't know. The council keeps their deliberations secret until the final trial. But whatever they think we've done, we'll face it with honor." The journey to Tribunal Station took 2 weeks. During that time, Elena watched as more and more human ships joined their convoy. Small, personal craft flying alongside massive colony ships, military vessels escorting civilian transports. By the time they reached the outer edge of the galactic core, nearly 10,000 human ships were traveling together. Elena had never seen anything like it. The human fleet stretched for millions of kilometers in every direction. Ships from Earth, Mars, the Alpha Centauri colonies, and dozens of other human settlements, all coming to face whatever judgment awaited them. But they weren't alone in space. As they approached Tribunal Station, Elena saw the fleets of the Council species waiting for them. The elegant silver ships of the Zephyrians hung in perfect formation. The massive biovessels of the Thexhi pulsed with organic light. The crystal structures of the Veltar caught starlight and threw it back in rainbow patterns. 7 species. 7 ancient races who had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years before humans ever left their homeworld. And now all 7 were here to watch humanity's trial. Tribunal Station itself was impossible to describe. It was larger than most moons, a structure that seemed to bend space around itself. Ancient technology that humanity barely understood kept the massive station stable near the dangerous gravity well of the galactic core. Elena had been there once before, 5 years ago, when humanity was first granted membership in the galactic community. Then, she had been amazed by the station's beauty and the wisdom of the Council species. Now, it looked like a prison. "Captain," Lieutenant Morrison called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the research vessel, Endeavor." "It's Dr. Sarah Chen." Elena frowned. She knew Dr. Chen by reputation. The woman was one of humanity's best xenoarchaeologists, someone who studied the ruins of ancient civilizations. What was she doing out here? "Put her through," Elena said. Dr. Chen's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired and excited at the same time. Her dark hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, and there was dirt on her clothes. "Captain Vasquez," Dr. Chen said, her voice urgent. "I need to speak with you privately. It's about the charges against humanity. I think I know what they're really about." Elena moved to her private ready room and activated the secure channel. "Go ahead, Doctor." I've been excavating ruins on Kepler 442b for the past 6 months, Dr. Chen said. It's a precursor site, one of the oldest ever found. Captain, I've discovered something that changes everything we know about the ancient galaxy. The precursors were a mystery that had puzzled scientists for centuries. They had been the first spacefaring civilization in the galaxy, millions of years ago. Then they had simply vanished, leaving behind only ruins and technology that no one could understand. What kind of discovery? Elena asked. I found a relic, something that the precursors left behind. But Captain, it only responds to humans. No other species can even get close to it. And when it activated, Dr. Chen paused, her eyes wide. It showed me things about the precursors, about us, about why the Council really fears humanity. Elena felt a chill run down her spine. What are you saying? I'm saying the charges against humanity aren't about anything we've done wrong. They're about what we might become. Captain, I need to get to Tribunal Station. This relic, it might be our only hope of proving our innocence. The transmission ended, leaving Elena alone with her thoughts. Outside her window, she could see other human ships taking their assigned positions around Tribunal Station, families saying goodbye to each other through video calls, not knowing if they would ever meet again. Elena returned to the bridge and looked at her crew. These good people who had trusted her to lead them. All of humanity was depending on decisions made by people like her in the next few days. Set course for Docking Bay 7, she ordered. And send a message to Dr. Chen. Tell her to get here as fast as she can. As the Resilience moved toward the massive station, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they were flying into a trap that had been set long before humanity ever reached the stars. But they would face whatever came next together, as they always had. The trial of humanity was about to begin. The tribunal chamber was unlike anything Elena had ever seen. The room seemed to stretch forever in all directions, with no visible walls or ceiling. Floating platforms held the representatives of each species, suspended in what looked like empty space filled with distant stars. Elena stood with the other human representatives on a circular platform in the center of it all. Ambassador Dr. Marcus Webb, an elderly man with kind eyes and gray hair, stood beside her. Around them, 12 other humans from different colonies and worlds waited nervously. Above them, the Council of Seven sat on platforms that formed a perfect circle. Each platform was designed for the specific needs of its species. The Zephyrians sat in chairs that looked like they were made of flowing water. The Thexhi rested on organic pods that pulsed with soft light. The crystal beings of the Veltar didn't sit at all, but floated in formations that hurt to look at directly. High Arbiter Veltar of the Zephyrians called the session to order. His voice echoed strangely in the vast chamber, seeming to come from everywhere at once. We gather today to deliver judgment upon the species known as humanity, he said. His pale blue skin seemed to shimmer as he spoke. After careful consideration of the evidence, the Council of Seven has found this species guilty of crimes against the natural order of the galaxy. Elena felt her heart sink. They had already decided. This wasn't a trial at all. It was just a ceremony before the execution. The charges are as follows, Veltar continued. First, reckless expansion. In the mere 200 years since achieving faster-than-light travel, humans have spread to over 300 worlds. They have established colonies without proper consultation with elder species. They have disrupted established trade routes and territorial boundaries. Holographic images appeared in the air around them. Elena saw human ships arriving at new worlds, human colonies being built on planets that other species had claimed as buffer zones, human explorers venturing into areas marked as forbidden. Second, Veltar said, his voice growing colder. Interference with natural order. Humans have repeatedly interfered with the development of primitive species. They have provided technology and protection to races that should have remained under the guidance of their elder species patrons. More images flashed around them. Elena recognized some of the scenes. The evacuation of the Kepler refugees when their sun went supernova. The medical supplies sent to the plague-stricken worlds of the Tau sector. The human peacekeepers who had stopped a war between two minor species in the Vega system. In each case, Veltar continued, Humans acted without authorization from the proper authorities. They gave aid that disrupted the careful balance maintained by the Council of Seven for millennia. Elena wanted to shout that those disruptions had saved millions of lives, but she forced herself to stay quiet. Dr. Webb had warned them all that outbursts would only make things worse. But most serious of all, Veltar said, and now his voice carried real anger. Humans stand accused of claiming the inheritance of the lost. They have deliberately sought out and activated precursor technology that was meant to remain dormant forever. The images that appeared now made Elena gasp. She saw human archaeological teams working in ancient ruins. She saw the moment when Dr. Martinez's team had activated the orbital platforms around Sigma Draconis. She saw the discovery of the precursor data cores on Epsilon Eridani. For over 50,000 years, Veltar said, the wise species of this galaxy have agreed that precursor ruins should remain untouched. The ancient ones left their technology behind when they departed. But they did not leave it for us to claim. It represents power too dangerous for any species to wield. One of the Thek's high representatives spoke, its voice like wind through trees. The humans have shown no respect for these boundaries. They seek out precursor sites with the enthusiasm of grave robbers. They activate technology they do not understand, putting the entire galaxy at risk. Elena looked at Dr. Webb. The old ambassador's face was pale, but his eyes were determined. When Veltar finally asked if humanity wished to present a defense, Webb stood slowly. Honored members of the council, Webb said, his voice carrying across the vast chamber. Humanity does not deny that we have expanded quickly across the galaxy. We do not deny that we have helped species in need. We do not deny that we have studied precursor ruins. Elena felt a moment of panic. Was he confessing to everything? But we reject the idea that any of these actions are crimes, Webb continued, his voice growing stronger. When we found the Kepler refugees, their star was about to explode. Were we supposed to let them die because we didn't have permission to save them? When we discovered the Tau plague, were we supposed to watch billions suffer because helping them wasn't our assigned role? Webb gestured to the images still floating around them. You call our expansion reckless. We call it human. We explore not to conquer, but to learn. We establish colonies not to claim territory, but to build homes for our children. And the precursor sites? Veltar asked coldly. We study them because knowledge belongs to all thinking beings, Webb replied. The precursors left their technology behind for a reason. Maybe they wanted future generations to learn from it. Maybe they wanted their knowledge to help species that came after them. Or maybe, said one of the crystal Veltar, its voice like breaking glass, they left warnings that only wise species would understand. Warnings to leave their legacy alone. Webb was quiet for a moment. Then he said, with respect, how can we know what they intended unless we try to understand what they left behind? The question hung in the air like a challenge. Elena could see the council members exchanging looks. Some angry, some thoughtful. Veltar was about to respond when Elena's communication device buzzed softly. A message from Dr. Chen. I'm at the station. The Relic is reacting strongly to being near the Tribunal chamber. Whatever you do, don't let them end the trial yet. Elena looked up at the council members. At their ancient faces filled with certainty and judgment. They had already decided humanity's fate. But maybe Dr. Chen was right. Maybe there was still hope. Your Honor, Elena called out, interrupting whatever Veltar was about to say. Before you pass judgment, humanity requests the right to present additional evidence. Veltar's eyes narrowed. What evidence could possibly change the facts already presented? Elena took a deep breath. Evidence that the precursors themselves left for us to find. A murmur ran through the council platforms. Elena saw surprise on some faces, anger on others. We have discovered a precursor artifact, Elena continued. One that has never been seen before. One that may shed new light on humanity's relationship with the ancient ones. For a long moment, the chamber was silent. Then Veltar spoke, his voice like ice. Very well. Present this evidence. But know that if it proves to be another example of human interference with what should remain untouched, it will only add to your guilt." Elena nodded, trying to hide her fear. She had just bought them time. But she had no idea if Dr. Chen's discovery would save them or damn them all. Dr. Sarah Chen's arrival at the Tribunal chamber caused more disruption than Elena had expected. The scientist came through the main entrance carrying a small metal case, but the moment she stepped into the vast space, every piece of precursor technology in the ancient station began to hum. The council members looked around in confusion as lights that had been dark for centuries began to flicker. The very walls of the chamber seemed to pulse with energy that hadn't been felt in thousands of years. "What is the meaning of this?" Veltar demanded, his pale blue skin now showing traces of silver fear marks. Dr. Chen walked to the center platform where the humans stood. She was a small woman, barely reaching Elena's shoulder, but she carried herself with quiet confidence. Her dark eyes were bright with exhaustion and excitement. "Your honors," Dr. Chen said, setting down her case. "I am Dr. Sarah Chen, xenoarchaeologist with the Human Exploration Service. I have spent the last 6 months excavating the precursor ruins on Kepler 442b. One of the Thek's High representatives made a sound like wind through dead leaves. Kepler 442b is a forbidden world. No species has been permitted to land there for over 20,000 years. "That's correct," Dr. Chen said calmly. "It was forbidden because every attempt to explore the main temple had failed. Zephyrian expeditions, Thek's High research teams, even joint council archaeological missions. None could get past the outer chambers." She opened her case, revealing an object that made several council members gasp. It was roughly the size of a human head, carved from a material that seemed to shift between crystal and stone. Symbols covered its surface, symbols that moved and changed as Elena watched them. "Until my team arrived," Dr. Chen continued, lifting the object carefully from its case. "The temple doors, which had been sealed for over 1,000,000 years, opened for us. The inner chambers, which had resisted every attempt at entry, welcomed us. And this artifact, which had waited in the deepest vault, activated the moment I touched it." Veltar leaned forward, his eyes wide with what looked like horror. "You removed a relic from the sacred vault of Kepler 442b. Do you have any idea what you have done?" "I know exactly what I've done," Dr. Chen said quietly. "I've brought you proof that humanity's relationship with the precursors is not what you think it is." The crystal Veltar spoke, their voice like breaking ice. "That temple has been off-limits to all species since the founding of the Council. It was marked with warnings in every galactic language. The sacred vault was never meant to be opened." "Then why did it open for us?" Dr. Chen asked. The question hung in the air. Elena could see the council members looking at each other. "Uncertain for the first time since the trial began," Dr. Chen continued. "Every council species tried to enter that temple. Your best archaeologists, your most advanced technology, your most skilled teams. Nothing worked. The precursor security systems remained active, keeping everyone out, until humans arrived." She held up the artifact, and it pulsed with gentle light. This relic responded to human DNA. It recognized something in us that it had been waiting for. "The question is, what?" One of the smaller council members, a representative of the HFY, spoke in a voice like rustling paper. "Perhaps the precursors left warnings specifically about your species. Perhaps the artifact is a trap, meant to destroy those foolish enough to tamper with it." "Then why hasn't it destroyed me?" Dr. Chen asked. "I've been carrying it for weeks. I've studied it, analyzed it, even communicated with it. It's not a weapon. It's a teacher." Veltar stood up on his platform, his form trembling with what might have been rage or fear. "Enough of this. The artifact is evidence of humanity's greatest crime. You have violated the most sacred site in the galaxy. You have stolen from the ancestors of all civilized species. Have we?" Dr. Chen asked quietly. "Or have we finally done what the precursors intended all along?" She placed the artifact on a small platform in the center of the chamber. Immediately, The humming sound grew louder. Ancient lights began to shine in the walls of the tribunal chamber itself. Elena realized that the entire station contained precursor technology that was responding to the artifact's presence. "I propose a test, Doctor," Chen said. "Let the relic speak for itself. If it truly belongs to the Council species, if we humans have stolen it, then surely it will respond to your representatives. Let them approach it. Let them try to activate it." The council members looked at each other uncertainly. Elena could see they didn't like this idea, but they also couldn't refuse without looking afraid. Veltar spoke first. "Very well. But when this artifact reveals itself to be a weapon designed to punish thieves, the blood will be on your hands." He descended from his platform and approached the glowing relic. The closer he got, the dimmer its light became. By the time he reached the central platform, the artifact had gone completely dark. Veltar placed his long, pale hands on the object. Nothing happened. He spoke to it in the ancient Zephyrian language. Still nothing. He tried channeling his bioelectric field into it, the way his species activated their own technology. The artifact remained cold and silent. One by one, the other council representatives tried. The Thexhai sang to it in their harmonic language. The crystal Veltar tried to resonate with its molecular structure. Each attempt failed completely. Finally, Dr. Chen approached the artifact again. The moment she came near, it began to glow. When she placed her hands on its surface, the light became warm and welcoming. "It's not responding to me personally," she said. "It's responding to human DNA, to human brain patterns, to something in our species that it recognizes." Elena stepped forward. "May I?" Dr. Chen nodded. Elena approached the artifact and placed her hands on its surface. Immediately, she felt a presence in her mind. Not threatening or invasive, but gentle and curious. Like meeting an old friend after a long separation. For just a moment, she saw images. A galaxy full of life and wonder. Species working together, exploring together, growing together. And in the center of it all, a civilization that looked almost human, guiding and protecting the younger races. Elena gasped and stepped back. The artifact's light dimmed but didn't go out. "What did you see?" "Doctor," Chen asked. "I saw the galaxy as it used to be," Elena said, her voice shaking. "Before the wars, before the fear, before the rigid laws and boundaries." Veltar's voice cut through the chamber like a blade. "Enough. This artifact is clearly a human creation. You have faked this entire demonstration to avoid punishment for your crimes." But Dr. Chen shook her head. "I've dated this artifact, Your Honor. It's over 1 million years old. Humans didn't even exist when this was created." "Then it's a trap," another council member said. "The precursors left it to test us, and humanity has failed the test by claiming what was never meant for them." Elena looked at the artifact, still glowing softly in the center of the chamber. Dr. Chen was right. There was something about humanity that this ancient device recognized, something that the Council of Seven didn't want to acknowledge. "There's only one way to find out the truth," Elena said. "Let the artifact tell us itself. Dr. Chen says she's been able to communicate with it. Let's hear what it has to say." The chamber fell silent. Elena could feel the weight of decision hanging over them all. The council clearly didn't want to hear from the artifact, but they also couldn't refuse without admitting they were afraid of what it might reveal. Finally, Veltar spoke. "Very well. Let this ancient device speak, if it can. But know that whatever it says will not change the facts of human guilt." Dr. Chen placed both hands on the artifact and spoke a single word in ancient precursor script. The artifact began to glow brighter than ever before, and suddenly the chamber was filled with a presence that Elena could feel in her very bones. The memory keeper had awakened. The voice that filled the chamber didn't come through the air. It spoke directly into every mind present, bypassing ears and language entirely. Elena felt the words form in her thoughts as if they were her own, but she knew they came from something far older and wiser than herself. "I am the memory keeper of the first confederation. I am the last echo of the precursors. I have waited 1,200,047 years for this moment. The artifact blazed with light that didn't hurt to look at. Around the chamber, precursor symbols began appearing on walls that had seemed empty moments before. The very air seemed to shimmer with ancient power. Elena saw the council members backing away from their platforms, fear clear on their alien faces. Only the humans remained calm, drawn to the warm presence that filled their minds. "You call yourselves the Council of Seven?" the Memory Keeper continued, its voice heavy with sadness. "You rule through law and fear and the careful control of knowledge. But you are not the first rulers of this galaxy. You are not the rightful inheritors of our legacy. You are the children of those who destroyed us." Veltar's voice cut through the chamber, sharp with desperation. "Lies." The precursors departed peacefully. They ascended to a higher plane of existence. "Every species knows this truth. Every species knows the lie your ancestors created to hide their shame," the Memory Keeper replied. "Let me show you what really happened." The chamber around them changed. Elena gasped as the walls, floor, and ceiling disappeared, replaced by a vast space filled with stars. But these weren't the stars they knew. This was the galaxy as it had been 1,000,000 years ago. Images formed in the starlight. Elena saw worlds covered with cities that grew like living things. She saw ships that moved between stars, like schools of fish, graceful and alive. She saw dozens of species working together, sharing knowledge and resources freely. "This was the first confederation," the Memory Keeper said. "We were not rulers, but guardians. Not conquerors, but protectors. Every species that achieved spaceflight was welcomed into our community. Every world that needed help received it. Every people that sought knowledge found teachers." Elena saw the precursors themselves now, and her heart nearly stopped. They looked almost human. Taller, more graceful, with eyes that held the wisdom of ages, but unmistakably similar to her own species. "We guided the galaxy for 5,000,000 years, the Memory Keeper continued. "We helped younger species grow and learn. We prevented wars before they could start. We shared our knowledge freely with all who sought it." The beautiful images began to change. Elena saw fleets of ships that looked familiar, Zephyrian vessels, but older and more warlike. Thexhi bioships, but twisted into weapons. The ancestors of the Council species, but not as Elena knew them now. "Then came the rebellion," the Memory Keeper said, and its voice was full of ancient pain. 7 species, grown strong with our gifts, decided they no longer needed our guidance. They had learned our secrets, copied our technology, built their own empires, and they wanted to rule in our place. Elena watched in horror as the ancient war unfolded before her. The Council species had attacked without warning, using weapons the precursors had never imagined would be turned against them. Peaceful worlds burned. Entire civilizations that had trusted in the Confederation's protection were wiped out in days. "We could have fought back," the Memory Keeper said. "We had the power to destroy them utterly. But that would have made us no better than them. So we chose a different path." The images showed the last days of the precursor civilization. Elena saw them gathering their knowledge, their history, their very souls into hidden vaults scattered across the galaxy. She saw them encoding their genetic patterns, their memories, their dreams of what the galaxy could be. "We chose to wait," the Memory Keeper said. "We chose to trust that somewhere, someday, a species would arise that shared our values. A species that would protect the weak instead of exploiting them. A species that would explore for knowledge, not conquest. A species that would carry our legacy not through blood, but through choice." The ancient images faded, replaced by newer ones. Elena saw human ships arriving at plague-stricken worlds with medical supplies. She saw human peacekeepers standing between warring species. She saw human scientists sharing their discoveries freely with anyone who needed them. "In you, we live again," the Memory Keeper said. And its voice was warm with joy. "Not because you are our descendants, but because you have become what we once were." You are the bearers of righteousness we hoped would one day emerge. Veltar's voice cracked with rage and fear. This is impossible. The humans are newcomers. They have no claim to ancient heritage. Heritage is not inherited, the Memory Keeper replied. It is earned. These humans have earned it through their actions. They have proven themselves worthy of what we left behind. Elena felt tears running down her face as more images flowed through her mind. The Memory Keeper showed her humanity's true history from the precursor perspective. Every act of kindness, every moment of courage, every choice to help instead of harm. All of it had been watched, recorded, and cherished by the ancient minds waiting in hidden vaults. But why now? Dr. Chen asked, her voice shaking with emotion. Why reveal this now? Because the time of waiting is over, the Memory Keeper said. The galaxy stands at another crossroads. The Council of Seven has ruled through fear for too long. They have divided the galaxy into rulers and subjects, creating the very conditions that led to our destruction 1,000,000 years ago. Elena looked at the council members and saw their faces filled with panic. Several were speaking rapidly into communication devices, probably calling for their fleets to take action. The choice is before you now, the Memory Keeper continued, speaking to all present. Will you continue the cycle of domination and rebellion that has plagued this galaxy for too long? Or will you join these humans in building something better? Something worthy of the ancient dream of peace and cooperation? One of the smaller council members, a representative of the peaceful Keth High, stepped forward. What proof do we have that this isn't some human trick? How do we know this Memory Keeper is real? The artifact pulsed, and suddenly every piece of precursor technology in the galaxy began to respond. Elena could feel it through the station's communication systems. On every world where ancient ruins existed, dormant machines were awakening. Archives that had been sealed for 1,000,000 years were opening their doors. Go to any precursor site, the Memory Keeper said. Touch any ancient device. They will all recognize these humans now. They will all confirm what I have told you. The age of secrets is over. The truth can no longer be hidden. The chamber fell silent except for the gentle humming of awakening technology. Elena looked at her fellow humans and saw the same awe and responsibility in their faces that she felt in her heart. They had been chosen not by blood or right of birth, but by their choices and actions. They had been given the greatest gift in the galaxy, the chance to be better than those who came before. The question now was whether the rest of the galaxy would let them try, or whether they would face the same fate as the precursors who had dared to dream of peace among the stars. Veltar's voice cut through the silence, cold and final. This changes nothing. The humans remain criminals, and now they are thieves of the highest order, claiming an inheritance that belongs to the galaxy's true leaders. Elena realized that the real trial was just beginning. The silence that followed Veltar's declaration was broken by the sound of weapons powering up. Through the chamber's transparent walls, Elena could see the council fleets moving into attack positions around the human ships. Thousands of vessels bristling with weapons, all aimed at her people. You have 30 minutes to surrender the artifact and submit to judgment, Veltar announced, his pale blue skin now showing the silver stress marks of his species. After that, we will consider any resistance an act of war against the Galactic Order. Elena looked at the Memory Keeper, still glowing softly on its platform. Dr. Chen stood beside it, her hand resting protectively on the ancient device. Around the chamber, the other human representatives looked to Elena for guidance. Memory Keeper, Elena said quietly. What do we do now? What? The ancient consciousness spoke directly into her mind. The choice is yours to make, Elena Vasquez. That is what makes you worthy. We could have given our legacy to those who would use it for power or revenge. Instead, we chose to wait for those who would struggle with the weight of responsibility. 15 minutes, Veltar announced. Elena looked at Dr. Webb, the old ambassador who had spent his life trying to build bridges between humanity and the other species. His eyes were sad but determined. Captain, he said quietly. The Memory Keeper is right. We have a choice. We could use this knowledge, this ancient technology, to defend ourselves. We could become conquerors, just like the council species did 1,000,000 years ago. Elena nodded. She could feel the power available to them now. All across the galaxy, precursor sites were awakening. Ancient weapons that could destroy entire fleets. Technologies that could make humanity the undisputed rulers of the galaxy. Or, she asked. Dr. Webb smiled. Or, we choose to be better. 10 minutes, Veltar called out. But Elena could hear the uncertainty in his voice. Reports were coming in from across the galaxy as precursor ruins responded to the Memory Keeper's awakening. The careful balance of power that the Council had maintained for millennia was crumbling. Elena stepped forward, addressing not just the Council but the entire galaxy through the station's communication systems. Citizens of the galaxy, she said, her voice carrying to every ship, every world, every species that had been watching this trial. You have heard the truth about our shared history. You have learned that the peaceful paradise promised by the precursors was destroyed by fear and greed. You have seen how that cycle has continued for 1,000,000 years. She gestured to the council members, still standing on their platforms but no longer looking so confident. These species have ruled through division. They have kept knowledge from those they deemed unworthy. They have maintained order through the threat of force. They have become exactly what the precursors hoped the galaxy would never become again. Through the communication channels, Elena could hear responses from across the galaxy. The smaller species that had long suffered under council rule were speaking up, the oppressed colonies that had been denied representation, the scientists who had been forbidden from studying certain subjects. But we don't have to repeat their mistakes, Elena continued. Humanity didn't seek the precursor legacy. It sought us. And it did so not because we are perfect, but because we have shown that we can choose cooperation over conquest. We can choose to protect instead of exploit. Dr. Chen lifted the Memory Keeper, and its light pulsed across the chamber. This artifact contains the location of every precursor archive in the galaxy, technologies that could solve hunger, cure diseases, even extend life itself. But it also contains weapons that could destroy entire star systems. Elena looked directly at Veltar. We could use those weapons to defend ourselves. We could become the new rulers of this galaxy. But that would make us no better than you. Quote, 5 minutes, Veltar said, but his voice was barely a whisper. Instead, Elena said, we choose to offer partnership. Any species, including the council members, that wishes to join us in building the kind of galaxy the precursors dreamed of is welcome. We will share the ancient knowledge freely, just as the precursors did. We will help those in need, protect those who cannot protect themselves, and work together to solve the challenges facing all of us. She paused, letting her words sink in. But we will not be ruled by fear any longer. We will not accept a system that divides the galaxy into masters and servants. The age of the Council of Seven is over. Elena expected Veltar to order the attack immediately. Instead, she heard something she had never heard from a council member before. Uncertainty. And if we refuse? He asked. Elena smiled sadly. Then you will face the same choice the precursors faced 1,000,000 years ago. You can fight to maintain your power and risk destroying everything in the process. Or you can choose to be part of something better. The chamber fell silent again. But this time, the silence was broken not by weapons charging, but by a small voice from one of the outer platforms. I wish to join the new confederation. Elena looked up and saw that it was Keth High representative, the one who had questioned the Memory Keeper earlier. The small, insect-like being stood on shaking legs, but its voice was clear. My people have suffered under council law for 3,000 years. We have been denied the right to expand beyond our home system. We have been forced to provide resources to the council while receiving nothing in return. If the humans offer true partnership, then we accept. I as well, said another voice. It was one of the representatives from the Tau sector, a species Elena didn't recognize. We have seen human compassion firsthand during the plague years. They asked for nothing in return for their help. They are worthy of trust. One by one, representatives from the smaller species began to declare their support for the new order. Elena watched in amazement as the careful structure the council had built began to crumble, but not all were ready to accept change. This is madness, one of the Thex High declared, its bioship visible through the chamber walls as it moved into attack position. The humans are children playing with forces they cannot understand. We will not bow to newcomers who have barely learned to travel between stars. Veltar looked around the chamber, seeing his coalition falling apart. Elena could see the calculation in his eyes. He was weighing the cost of war against the humiliation of surrender. Very well, he said finally. If this is the choice you make, then this is the choice you will live with. The Zephyrian Empire will not submit to human authority. His platform began to rise, moving toward the exit. But before he could leave, the Memory Keeper spoke once more. Veltar of the Zephyrians, the ancient voice said, filled with infinite sadness. Your ancestors made this same choice 1,000,000 years ago. They chose pride over peace, power over partnership. Look around this chamber and see how that choice has served the galaxy. Veltar stopped moving, his pale form trembling. We will not make the same mistake the precursors made. We will not go quietly into extinction. No one is asking you to, Elena said gently. We are asking you to choose to be part of something larger than yourself. To be a guardian instead of a ruler. To be worthy of the trust the galaxy places in you. For a long moment, Veltar stood frozen between the exit and the chamber floor. Elena could see the war raging in his mind, between pride and wisdom, between the old ways and the new. Finally, his platform descended back into the chamber. The Zephyrian Empire will consider the new proposals, he said. Each word sounding like it caused him physical pain. Elena felt the tension in the chamber ease slightly. It wasn't acceptance, but it wasn't war either. Dr. Chen stepped forward, still holding the Memory Keeper. Then let's begin, she said. The galaxy has been divided for too long. It's time to heal the wounds of the past and build the future the precursors dreamed of. As the representatives began to gather around the ancient artifact, Elena looked out at the human ships still surrounded by council fleets. Her people had been given the greatest gift imaginable, the chance to guide the galaxy toward peace. But gifts came with responsibilities, and Elena knew that the real test of humanity's worthiness would come not in this moment of triumph, but in the long years ahead, as they worked to prove that they truly deserved the trust the Memory Keeper had placed in them. The age of the Council was ending. The age of the new Confederation was about to begin, and humanity would do everything in its power to ensure that this time, the dream of peace among the stars would not be allowed to die.